the restoration of the priesthood is just as relevant to you as a woman.
Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is Rachel with Women in Priesthood. This is a YouTube channel where we dive into doctrine in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Live revelation is happening in our gospel, and President Nelson said in 2019, he asked all men and women to study all we can about priesthood power. And so this is a channel that I started, 4 years ago to now, to just learn as much as I could. And it's taken me on such a fun journey. I made this handout a while ago. It's in the description, but you can go to this handout at womeninpriesthood.org, and I'll leave it in the description, where I have a fun little handout that I've made. It's got a little quote by Sharon Eubank. The real question isn't, do you have priesthood, but what are you doing with the priesthood power that you have? And so this is a couple of fun little handouts that I made for young women or like family evening. And what you can do is just kind of download just like a basic PDF. The thing that I really like, that I always like to point out, is I like to learn through pictures, and I feel like sometimes pictures do a better job of explaining a fairly complex. You can learn like the oath and covenant and the priesthood. Okay, this is the page that I always liked to start with when I was talking to my young women or youth, was, can we just distill this new principle of priesthood power through covenants, and in some special situations callings, into like a simple way we can distill this down and understand it. So I think this is page 8. This is really, really helpful in a simple way, because it emphasizes the importance of the covenants that our young women are going to be making, or our daughters are going to be making. And it also allows them to understand that when they're receiving a calling and they're set apart in that calling, especially if that's a young women's president, class president, or a missionary, or head of an auxiliary, they're receiving priesthood power and authority in that specific time-sensitive calling, just like, and that's significant. That's like, I feel like that's a beginning place. I remember shortly after this kind of teaching, this live instruction started happening, when President Russell Nelson is like, women have priesthood power through covenants in 2019. And I've done a lot of videos on that, on those talks, the several talks that he really started instructing us more fully about the nature of priesthood power, how we interact with it, how we use it as in stewards over our lives. I was called as a young women's president shortly after there, and being set apart by the bishop in that calling, realizing that I actually had priesthood authority to conduct God's affairs, was pretty heavy and wonderful at the same time. I felt like God's asked me to do this amazing task of leading these young women and all these leaders, but he's also giving me a portion of his power, if I'm going to use it worthily. Anyway, so this is just something that you can check out. So I want to intro today's talk with this really great quote that it's a Joseph Smith quote. And I really love this quote because it emphasizes the sense that even early saints had a tendency to become very fixed in the way they thought about the gospel, and to kind of like not want things to change or be updated doctrinally. So Joseph Smith said, "I have tried for a number of years to get the minds of the saints prepared to receive the things of God, but we frequently see some of them, after suffering and all they have for the work of God, will fly to pieces like glass as soon as anything comes that is contrary to their traditions." So the doctrine that I found and the instruction that I found in this Gospel Topics essay, I think could fall into this category for some people. But one of the things that I've wanted to do on this channel, Women and Priesthood, and have explained to some of you, that I wanted to read the gospel through an LDS lens and also a female lens, because women, like when you read the gospel and you have a female lens, you probably are just going to pick up on things differently that might mean more to you. And this doctrine, so one of the things that I've done in previous episodes is sift through the actual doctrine on Mother in Heaven, because ever since President Renlund's talk, we read Renlund's talk. He really said everything that we know about Heavenly Mother is in the Gospel Topics essays, and I wish I knew more. My sense is, though, that we could learn so much by a closer reading of the existing doctrine if we'll take the time to do that. So you can check back on this one video of the Mother in Heaven, and I'll put this on the playlist as well on my channel. Go to playlists, and I have an entire Mother in Heaven playlist. And one of the reasons that I started this playlist is because it's right here. Let me see if I can find how many. The reason I started this Mother in Heaven playlist is because my background is in Middle Eastern studies and Arabic. I've also spent a lot of time studying early Judaism, early Islam, early Christianity, and our religion is so unique, having a doctrine about a supreme divine super being who's a woman. It's such a unique doctrine. And I do think that one of the biggest arguments that we have against women, even in the church, or who are kind of apostate but associated with the church, who will say that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is sexist, is the biggest argument that we have against them is to say, well, then why would Joseph Smith restore our understanding, a lost understanding of a divine Heavenly Mother? We are the only religion that has retained, has restored a fullness of that understanding, that there exists in the universe a divine Heavenly Mother, and she's a partner with God. We're the only ones. There's no way a religion that celebrates this doctrine would be sexist or oppressive to women. It's contrary to. So the more that we celebrate, and I think there's also a tendency in more secularizing. I think there's secularizing efforts, usually in kind of women's groups, where they're trying to remake Heavenly Mother as this kind of independent woman. That's why I think it's super important to go read the doctrine. What do we actually know about Heavenly Mother, and what do we believe about her? And go to the source, go to Joseph Smith. Another amazing thing is that Joseph Smith restored our understanding of the existence of Heavenly Mother to women first, because he knew that they would appreciate it. So I have learned, especially growing up in the East, that there's a big difference between doctrine and culture. I really experienced that when I went out west to Utah for the first time, and I realized that we really need to make a concerted effort to know the difference between the culture of the church and the doctrine of the church. And the only way that you can do that is go to the source and read the doctrine. So if you go back on that playlist, you can see I've done so many videos. I think I'm up to 12 videos on that playlist about Heavenly Mother. And the reason is because I want us to read about her together, to see what the prophets have said. And just remember, if the prophets have said something about Heavenly Mother, it means that Jesus Christ has revealed that to those prophets, because he wants us to know the truth of who Heavenly Mother and Heavenly Father are. So as I was reading the Heavenly Mother, the Mother in Heaven essay in the Gospel Topics essay, I had an aha moment. You might catch it on one of those videos where I pause because I'm reading something for the first time and I'm processing it. And it's such a overwhelming doctrine that I think hasn't been noticed, but is being placed in the Mother in Heaven essay in the Gospel Topics section on purpose. So I'm going to read this for you. And just remember the Joseph Smith quote, right? I have tried for a number of years to get the minds of the saints prepared to receive the things of God, but they fly to pieces like glass as soon as anything comes that is contrary to their traditions. So this is, this is new to me. And this is in the Gospel Topics essay, about halfway down. This is a quote by President Ballard and President Lee. Prophets have taught that our heavenly parents work together for the salvation of the human family. Quote, we are a part of a divine plan designed by heavenly parents who love us, taught Elder Russell M. Ballard of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. President Harold B. Lee stated, we forget that we have a Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother who are even more concerned, probably, than our earthly father and mother, and that influences from beyond are constantly working to try to help us when we do all we can. Okay. Let's read this carefully again. We are part, this is a quote by President Ballard from a talk or a book entitled When Thou Art Converted, Continuing Our Search for Happiness. And the Quorum of the 12 Apostles published this essay in, I actually will have to look back on when this actual essay was updated or whatnot, but they could have buried this quote. But they didn't. They put this in the forefront of not a very long essay on Heavenly Mother. And what it says is, we are a part of a divine plan designed by heavenly parents who love us. Heavenly Mother and Heavenly Father designed the plan together. That's what I'm understanding from this phrase. We are part of a divine, here it says it right here. We are part of a divine plan designed by heavenly parents who love us. If this was not doctrine or sound, they would not have put it in the front of a very fairly short essay in the Gospel Topics essay, which they told us to go read. And I think this is a tremendous insight, because it shows us that it really does make sense too, that if we have a divine Heavenly Father and Mother, and they work co-collaboratively to create, all of the spiritual beings and their spiritual offspring, they would also work together to figure out a solution to this problem of salvation and growth and how to grow their children. I just think this is a tremendous idea. That's why I feel like I needed to read the Joseph Smith quote of they fall to pieces every time they learn something new. Uchtdorf has said, we are part of ongoing revelation. The restoration is still happening. And I believe my generation, that we really are in the middle of some very intense restoration of our understanding of the role and dynamic of Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother and their existence. And if we're not paying attention, we're going to miss these gems. So this was a 2001 talk. So he says, we are part of a divine plan designed by heavenly parents who love us. So Heavenly Father, parents, designed the plan together. She was part of designing the plan of salvation. Okay. Next, Latter-day Saints direct their worship to Heavenly Father in the name of Christ. We do not pray to Heavenly Mother. Who taught his disciples to always pray to the Father in my name. Latter-day Saints are taught to pray to Heavenly Father. But as President Gordon B. Hinckley said, the fact that we do not pray to Heavenly Mother does not in any way belittle or denigrate her. This is a phenomenal quote. Indeed, as Elder Rudger Clausen wrote, we honor women when we acknowledge godhood in her eternal prototype. Okay, prototype, when you look up that definition, means an original model on which something is patterned, an archetype. This is why a knowledge of our special doctrine, our belief system, our religion, and our understanding of Heavenly Mother is so powerful and is such an irrefutable debunking of anyone who would ever suggest our religion is sexist or repressive towards women. Because we literally believe that our original prototype, that we are replicas of a divine Heavenly Mother, that she's the original archetype of who we are. I don't think it's a mistake that as gender confusion continues to run rampant, and also you've seen in some of my recent videos with fertility trends in the globe and the United States, that women are losing their desire to have children altogether, and except the members of the Church of Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it's because it turns out, when you know truth, we as women are designed after a divine prototype, and that is Heavenly Mother. It turns out that actually changes your behavior in life. When you believe that you will live this life and continue to live in the next life, and that your role modeling is your ultimate role model is Heavenly Mother, it turns out it changes your behavior. It makes you brave. It makes you actually want to be one of the few women left in this world that want children, because we believe in a divine Heavenly Mother, and we know that she has enormous parity and partnership with Heavenly Father. And we should feel very, very lucky that we get to be alive and part of this live restoration of truth about her, right? Like, that President Russell M. Nelson and President Ballard are prophets on the earth who have been worthy or open enough to receive a lot of revelation about the nature of Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother's relationship with each other. Anyway, that's a lot to take in, but I think it's a profound reality that Heavenly Mother would have partnered with Heavenly Father to write or come up with the plan of salvation. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Like, Heavenly Father presented it, but Heavenly Mother and Heavenly Father designed it together for their kids because they know their kids. And as Ballard says, because they loved us. And I really do think that, so this is a talk that I felt was so well timed and was not given the credit it deserved. It's called United in Accomplishing God's Work. It's by, I don't know if it's John B. Bingham or if it's Jean B. Bingham. I'm not sure. And I know that sometimes, I do it too, sometimes you can like disregard the way that women speak and disregard what the substance of what they're actually saying. And she said this in 2020, which I think was well timed because, and this is something I'm definitely going to speak to more and more, right after 2019, when President Russell M. Nelson announced like women have priesthood power, there was just this kind of resurgence there was this real, and I saw it coming, that's why I started my channel, of like women being almost ego-driven and competing for influence in the church because they have priesthood now. Like, it's our turn, it's our time, that kind of energy. And she really does remind us that like, it's about being united in our team effort to achieve these goals. Like, we needed each other. Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother were codependent. Adam and Eve needed each other. Like, it is so counterproductive to be competing with each other, to make this a men versus women dynamic. And that's not how the priesthood works. So she has some great quotes here. Okay. She said, today we need women who have the courage and vision of our mother Eve to unite with their brethren in bringing souls to Christ. Men need to become true partners rather than assume they are solely responsible or act as pretend partners while women carry out much of the work. Women need to be willing to step forward and take their rightful, needful place as partners, rather than thinking they need to do it all by themselves or wait to be told what to do. Seeing women as vital participants is not about creating parity, but about understanding doctrine. I love this. Okay. In my view, what she's talking about is women who are going to take on a kind of political activism energy in the church and saying like, women need equal rights in the church. What she's saying is we need to understand doctrinal truth. What we just read, the ultimate prototype of Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, that they are divinely codependent and co-collaborative in that they wrote the plan of salvation together, is what she's talking about, in my view, or an example of true doctrinal truth. True doctrinal truth is when men and women work together for the salvation and the betterment of children or the people in their stewardship. And so she brings that up. She's like, it's not about creating parity. That is not what we're doing here. And you can see so many women trying to do that. They're trying to impose a worldly political activism onto this real call for us to unite as men and women. She says, rather than establishing a program to bring that about, we can actively work to value women as God does, as essential partners in the work of salvation and exaltation. And so this is an excellent talk, and I hope that you will read this article. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think everybody would recognize that highly productive couples who are really like happy in their home and do good things are working as teammates. They're co-collaborative. They're not super concerned about like ego-driven competition with each other, and neither are Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. We are so lucky to be alive right now while live restoration is happening of our understanding of Heavenly Mother. I know we think that it was all over, but it's not. It's happening right before our eyes. And as Joseph Smith said, you know, we can't be so fixed and inflexible that we're not open to the revelation that is coming to President Russell M. Nelson, President Ballard in this situation, and the Quorum of the 12. You know, he says the saints fly to pieces like glass as soon as anything comes that is contrary to their traditions. We didn't know up until this point that Heavenly Mother helped write the plan of salvation, but according to this Mother in Heaven Gospel Topics essay and President Ballard, and then the approval of the Quorum of the 12, who published his quote in this article, it says, we are part of a divine plan designed by heavenly parents who love us. So what incredible doctrine. I want to bear my testimony that I am so grateful to be a woman in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, to have the opportunity to be a part of this religion, to have this truth in my life. It's when you know that your eternal prototype, you are made after this ultimate archetype of Heavenly Mother, it does change the choices you will make in your life. And I'm really grateful that I didn't spend my entire life thinking that my career would love me back. And I made choices early enough on, you know, to prioritize family life, to prioritize being a mother. And that is because I was taught true doctrine. And we're really lucky to have a prophet right now in Russell M. Nelson who does care that women are learning priesthood power. He does care that men and women are learning about the true dynamic of Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother, elevating our ability to work together in our homes and at church. And I think this is all part of the premillennial training that we're getting. I think the Lord, when he comes again, wants men and women who work together well, who love each other, and who are teammates and are solution-oriented and collaborative. He doesn't want to find a state of people at church where men and women are just always competing with each other. He wants us to be like his parents, Heavenly Father and Heavenly Mother. And so I'm really grateful to be a member of this church. People and women who say that this church is sexist and is oppressive to women do not know the doctrine. And in my experience, I'm going to make some more videos on this. They're just parroting slogans and statements that they've heard other people tell them. But why would a religion that doesn't care about women celebrate a divine truth that there is a you know, super female God in the form of Heavenly Mother who is partnered with our dad, our Heavenly Father, and that they love us and that they designed a plan to save us. Like, and we celebrate that doctrine. So anyway, I hope you felt the spirit. I hope you'll check out some of these handouts, and I hope you'll leave some comments. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.
How I yearn for you to understand that the restoration of the priesthood is just as relevant to you as a woman as it is to any man. Because the Melchizedek priesthood has been restored, both covenant-keeping women and men have access to all the spiritual blessings of the church. The heavens are just as open to women who are endowed with God's power, that power flowing from their priesthood covenants, as they are to men who bear the priesthood.